The rain was relentless, mirroring the storm inside me. I sat in my car, parked across the street from what used to be our home, a hollow ache consuming me. My name is Emmet, and until a few weeks ago I was a content, if somewhat unremarkable, mechanic in Manchester. I'm 43. My life with my wife, Juniper, had always seemed stable. We met at a local pub, the Crooked Spire, nearly 15 years ago. She was vibrant, a ray of sunshine compared to my grease-stained existence. Juniper worked as a marketing executive for a large pharmaceutical company. We bought a small semi-detached house in a quiet suburb, filled it with comfortable furniture and the comforting aroma of Sunday roasts. We weren't extravagant, but we were happy, or so I believed. The first crack appeared subtly, almost imperceptibly. Juniper started working later, attending more conferences and client dinners. I didn't think much of it initially. Her career was demanding, and I was proud of her ambition. I'd often have a hot meal waiting when she got home, even if it was past 10. She'd thank me, peck me on the cheek, and head straight for the shower, the scent of expensive perfume lingering in the air. Then came the phone calls. Whispered conversations in the hallway, always when I was engrossed in a football match or tinkering in the garage. If I entered the room, she'd abruptly end the call, claiming it was a wrong number or a persistent telemarketer. My gut started churning. I tried to rationalize it, to dismiss the growing unease as paranoia, but the feeling persisted. One evening, Juniper claimed she had to fly to London for an urgent meeting. It was a Thursday, and she said she wouldn't be back until late Friday. I offered to drive her to the airport, but she insisted on taking a taxi. Easier, she said, avoiding my gaze. That night I couldn't sleep. The house felt empty, cold. I tossed and turned, my mind racing. Finally, around 3 a.m., I got up and went to the kitchen for a glass of water. As I walked back to the bedroom, I noticed Juniper's laptop on the kitchen table. She usually kept it locked away in her home office. Curiosity, or perhaps a desperate need for reassurance, overwhelmed me. I knew her password, our anniversary date. With trembling hands, I opened the laptop. Her email was already open. My heart pounded in my chest as I scrolled through her inbox. Then I saw it, an email with the subject line, "Tonight." It was from someone named Jasper. My blood ran cold as I clicked on it. The email was short but devastating. "Can't wait to see you tonight, my love. Hotel room 302, same as always." JMY world tilted on its axis. Juniper, my wife, the woman I loved and trusted, was having an affair with Jasper. The name meant nothing to me. I didn't recognize it. I felt a surge of anger, a primal rage I had never experienced before. I wanted to smash the laptop, to scream, to destroy something, anything, but I forced myself to calm down. I needed to think, to plan. I couldn't confront her without proof, without knowing the full extent of her betrayal. I decided to follow her. I knew it was a risk, but I had to know the truth. The next morning, I called in sick at the garage. I told my boss, Clancy, that I had a terrible flu. He grumbled but gave me the day off. I waited all day, a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. Around 5 p.m. I saw Juniper leave the house, dressed in a sleek black dress. She looked stunning, radiant. It was as if she were going on a date. I followed her in my beat-up Ford pickup, keeping a safe distance. She drove to a luxury hotel on the outskirts of Manchester, the Grandview. It was a place we could never afford to stay. I parked across the street and watched as she entered the hotel. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. I waited for what felt like an eternity. Finally, around 11 p.m., I saw Juniper leave the hotel. She looked satisfied. A smugness played on her lips. I wanted to confront her then and there, but I restrained myself. I followed her home, my heart a lead weight in my chest. I spent the rest of the night staring at the ceiling, replaying the email and the image of Juniper entering the hotel in my mind. Sleep was impossible. The pain was a physical ache, a constant reminder of her betrayal. The next morning, Juniper returned from her business trip as if nothing had happened. She gave me a perfunctory kiss and asked about my flu. I forced a smile and told her I was feeling better. I knew I couldn't live with the lie. I had to confront her, but I wanted to be prepared. I spent the next few days gathering evidence. I checked our bank statements and found numerous charges at expensive restaurants and hotels that Juniper had never mentioned. I also did some digging online. I searched for Jasper and cross-referenced it with Juniper's company. That's when I found him. Jasper Thorne, a senior partner at her firm. He was handsome, arrogant, and wealthy. He had everything I didn't. The realization that Juniper was having an affair with someone who represented everything I wasn't was a crushing blow. It wasn't just about lust. It was about status, about ambition. I was just a mechanic, a man with grease under his fingernails. He was a sophisticated executive, a man of the world. The final piece of the puzzle came unexpectedly. One evening I was at the Crooked Spire, drowning my sorrows in a pint of bitter. I ran into Bethany, an old friend of Juniper's. We chatted for a while and I casually mentioned Juniper's recent business trips. Bethany's face clouded over. "Business trips," she said, her voice laced with skepticism. "Juniper hasn't been on a business trip in months. She told me she was taking a pottery class on Thursdays." My blood turned to ice. A pottery class, that was her alibi. That's how she was sneaking off to meet Jasper, that was it. I couldn't take it anymore. I went home, my mind made up. I was going to confront her and I was going to expose her lies. Juniper was in the kitchen preparing dinner. She looked up as I entered, a smile on her face. "How are you feeling, Emmet?" she asked. "I know about Jasper," I said, my voice flat, devoid of emotion. Her face paled. The smile vanished. What are you talking about?" she stammered. "I read your email," I said. "I followed you to the hotel. I know about the pottery class. I know everything." She didn't deny it. Her eyes filled with tears. "Emmet," she began, but I cut her off. "Don't," I said. "Don't try to explain. Don't try to justify it. I don't want to hear it. I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I never meant to hurt you, but you did," I said, my voice trembling with rage. "You destroyed everything. Everything I thought we had." I walked out of the house that night, leaving Juniper sobbing in the kitchen. I didn't take anything with me, just the clothes on my back and the burning pain in my heart. I spent the next few weeks living in a cheap motel, trying to make sense of what had happened. I felt lost, adrift like a ship without a rudder. The divorce was swift and brutal. Juniper didn't contest it. She knew she was in the wrong. I didn't ask for much, just my share of the house and enough money to start over. I quit my job at the garage. I couldn't bear to stay in Manchester, surrounded by memories of Juniper. I decided to move to a small coastal town in Devon, a place I had always dreamed of visiting. I bought a small cottage overlooking the sea and started a new life. I found work as a mechanic at a local boatyard. The work was hard, but it was honest. The salt air and the sound of the waves helped to soothe my wounded soul. I tried to forget about Juniper, about Jasper, about the betrayal. But the memories lingered, like ghosts in the corners of my mind. One day I received a letter from a solicitor in Manchester. It was a summons to appear in court. Jasper Thorne was suing me for defamation. Apparently, after our affair was exposed, Jasper had been fired from his job at the pharmaceutical company. His career was ruined, his reputation shattered. He blamed me for his downfall. I was furious. He was the one who had broken up my marriage, who had betrayed my trust. And now he was trying to sue me. I hired a solicitor of my own, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Genevieve. She listened to my story, her eyes filled with empathy. "We'll fight this," she said. "We'll expose him for what he is. We'll show the court that he's the one who's guilty." The trial was a circus. Jasper's lawyers painted me as a jealous, vengeful husband who had ruined an innocent man's life. But Genevieve was brilliant. She presented evidence of Jasper's affair with Juniper, his abuse of power at the pharmaceutical company, and his history of unethical behavior. In the end, the jury sided with me. They found Jasper guilty of adultery and dismissed his defamation claim. He was ordered to pay my legal fees. I felt a sense of vindication, but it was a hollow victory. The trial had dredged up all the pain and anger I had tried so hard to bury. After the trial, I received a phone call from Juniper. Her voice was weak, hesitant. "Emmet, I need to talk to you," she said. I almost hung up, but something in her voice stopped me. "What is it, Juniper?" I asked, my voice cold. "Jasper left me," she said. "He took all my money and ran off with another woman." I didn't say anything. I just listened. "I'm all alone, Emmet," she sobbed. "I have nothing." I felt a flicker of sympathy for her, but it was quickly replaced by anger. She had made her choices. She had betrayed me, and now she was paying the price. "I'm sorry, Juniper," I said, "but I can't help you. You made your bed, now you have to lie in it. I hung up the phone and stared out at the sea. The waves crashed against the shore, a constant reminder of the turmoil in my life. I knew I would never be able to completely forget about Juniper, about the betrayal. But I also knew that I had to move on to build a new life for myself. I started dating again, cautiously at first. I met a kind, compassionate woman named Meredith at the boatyard. She was a widow, a woman who had also experienced loss and heartbreak. We found solace in each other's company, a shared understanding of the fragility of life. We started spending more time together, going for walks on the beach, sharing meals at local pubs. Slowly, I began to fall in love again. One evening, as we sat on the beach watching the sunset, Meredith turned to me and said, "You know, Emmet, you deserve to be happy. You deserve to find love again." I looked into her eyes and saw a reflection of my own pain, but also a glimmer of hope. "I think I am," I said, taking her hand in mine. I never spoke to Juniper again. I heard through mutual friends that she had moved to Spain and was working as a waitress. I didn't feel any satisfaction in her downfall. I just felt numb. I learned a valuable lesson from my experience with Juniper. That trust is a precious thing, easily broken, and that forgiveness is not always possible or even necessary. I found happiness again, not in the way I had expected, but in a deeper, more meaningful way. I learned to appreciate the simple things in life: the sound of the waves, the warmth of the sun, the love of a good woman. And as I stood on the beach, watching the sunset with Meredith by my side, I knew that I had finally found peace. The storm inside me had finally subsided, replaced by a quiet sense of gratitude for the life I had and the love I had found again.